Though, Jinx on Candy Panda, I cast him in the EOS Challenger Series. He finished on 8-0 on AD and just destroyed everyone. But, Panky, grand finale of Dreamhack Winter 2013. And we're ready to jump on the riff, ladies and gents. So let's get into this.
KMT in the bottom corner as your blue side. SK up here on the right-hand side as the red team heading towards their red buff. But let's gauge this crowd. And as mentioned, it's a full house down in there now. KMT fans, can you make some noise?
A few.
Yeah, there's a few. RPG had a louder noise, I must admit.
I have a feeling though, SK might have some more.
Yeah. Have we got any SK fans in the house?
Yes, we do.
Seleva, very sneaky bit of a pacemaker. They did catch a glimpse of SK hiding there in that Wraith camp. SK had planted a very aggressive early ward at their red, looking for that invade. They expected them to come in, and they were ready for it. But as each team has spotted each other out, just got a little bit of poke backwards and forwards. No full-on engage yet, but it does mean that KMT cannot get in here and plant these wards they wanted to. They cannot scout out that lane swap. They cannot keep their eyes on Svenska and see what kind of buff timing and routes he's taking. So SK have shut down that early invade, shut down that early vision, and I really want to see what they're going to do with this knowledge. Exactly,
and this is what KMT have been doing all tournament. As Zaz has said himself on the stage just before, in the studio I should say, while we were interviewing him, that all of their games are like 25-30 minute fairly comfortable wins, and that's because they get the early vision and they push forward and they do not relent. That's where KMT are at their strongest. So if SK can repel that initial onslaught, they're going to be in good standing, I have to feel.
So, do you see a couple of wards out for both sides? Of course, there's like a blue buff, a blue ward there at the SK red buff, but actually there's a red ward underneath it as well. It's stacked right on top of each other. So 2 wards out for either team, watching both sides of the jungle. Janko's going to start at his red buff then, as he can't get anywhere inside SK. And a blue buff start for Svenska. So they're both going to arrive around that top lane at similar moments. And that's quite terrifying for KMT, because Vladimir, while yes, he's got good sustain, in the later game he got quite a lot of burst damage and scales very nicely. In these earlier rounds against a combination like Renekton and Lee Sin, he can fall down very, very quickly.
Yeah, and it just hit me as well how many comfort champions we have right now on both teams. These are pretty much their first or second choices across the board. So it's just going to come down to that execution, as the zap will be landing on Seleva from Candy Panda. And as we said before, Jesus has constantly picked Ziggs into Gragas. He clearly feels this is a favourable matchup.
Well, we've seen time and time again, he always creeps ahead in the CS, and we saw briefly for a moment there just why. Gragas, yes, at his early levels, he's got that barrel roll, he can throw it in there, get the creeps low. But he can't get into auto attack them, he can't get into body slam them to get the last little hits. And Ziggs, every time he tries that, he's going to punish him. He's going to throw that short fuse out. He's going to throw that minefield out, slow him getting back. He's going to throw the bouncing bomb and really lay down some pain. So Gragas just can't afford to go in. So unless you get the perfect barrel every time and blast hits every creep that it hits, he's going to start losing a couple of creeps every wave. And, well, Jesus has proved perfect at capitalizing on that, stretching that lead out.
So, going to be interesting to see if Jankos tries to make any plays here and potentially get Jesus away from this lane. If they could get a first blood and overpower, that would be huge. We saw how quickly he snowballed in a previous game against SGC, I believe, when he was like 5-0 as Kale in mid, and they just crushed the game. Pretty much him single-handedly rushing down mid. So he is the kind of player, if you give him a push, he will snowball very, very quickly.
Double kill at the early invade will kind of set anyone up quite nicely for a strong mid lane, to be honest. But Seleva and Vanda taking a little bit of punishment here from Nif and Candy, but ultimately both of them comfortably trading back when they forward. A couple more zaps fly out, and these times they don't quite find their mark. Both Lee Sin and Elise now back down on opposite sides of the map again. They've completed a jungle clear and they're rotating around to support. However, the difference being Svenska has base, and he's bought himself a Spirit Stone. He's finished that off. Elise is yet to do the same, and he's just comfortably farming a jungle for a little while.
So slow, steady approach from both teams. The winner of this match will be getting just under 8,000 euros, and second place just under 4,000. So plenty to play for. Plus, of course, the bragging rights, saying we won Dreamhack Winter 2013. You didn't, in your face. So KMT coming into this with better stats, as I said before. But as you mentioned, Panky, it's a fresh slate right now. It's a best of 3, and this is all it's came down to.
It's a brand new game.
Exactly.
So Svenska going up towards the top side. Janko still has him base, but he's looking to try and make an opening, looking for that potential first blood. Does force the satchel charge out of Jezzy's in the mid lane, but he still gets stunned up under turret, and he has to flash to get himself out there safely before Overpower can really unload his damage. So Jezzy's low, and that first summoner's been burned, and that's all without a base from Elise. So if she had extra items, that may have been catastrophic. And now that he doesn't have flash, no doubt she's going to come back again. And Svenskeren is now hovering here in the top lane bush, toying with Zaxxas. Does land a Sonic Wave. He's going to go forward, forces the pull out. Okay, that pushes him back. When you pull at such early points in the fight, Zaxxas, obviously 20% of your current HP. That does a lot of damage. We just see a flash forward from Vanda for the fear, and first blood goes to Celiva.
Wow, KMT coming out strong. Zap goes down, will not be landing on Celiva, but still that first blood, and that is the power of a Fiddlesticks Caitlyn lane. Terrify goes in, Piltover Peacemaker, when already half of Nif's hit points have just disintegrated. So it's such a strong lane, even though actually for the majority of the early stages, it was Jinx and Sona that were harassing Celiva to very low.
Yeah, I mean, Nif had about 300-400 health. He thought he was okay. Didn't expect the flash forward, no doubt. And as soon as that fear had landed with a headshot proc and a Peacemaker, Celiva did a lot of close damage. But, I mean, that's the power of slow, steady harass. Nif probably thought he had a chance. He had time to heal it back up and was on full retreat. But the flash caught him off guard.
Yep, so going to be going back to pick up an early BF sword already on Caitlyn. That is going to be brutal. Terrifying to Piltover Peacemaker now is going to do serious, serious damage.
Level 5, Freddy level 5. They're going to start hitting that 6 mark shortly, and that Dominus will allow Freddy to have quite a there we go, quite a boost in his health. Now Zaxxas can do quite a bit of damage when he's got that full combination. When he pops that ultimate, learns all of his ability, pulls underneath it, lands it again. But Freddy with his Dominus should be okay, and ultimately this top lane, they're just going to go backwards and forwards and farm comfortably for some time. See Gragas starting to try and punish Jezzy's a little bit because he's hit 6, Jezzy's is yet to do so. So there's that threat of the explosive cast that Jezzy's needs to watch out for. Zaxxas, again, a really early pull there. So again, a lot of health gets used just to make sure that stun doesn't. Yeah,
I was just about to say Sanguine Pull used almost prematurely there, actually. It does get away some of the damage, but again, like you say, the health costs are pretty brutal as well. But with Transfusion, you're going to be able to farm up underneath that tower. We are seeing some players butting heads potentially as KMT are lurking for Jezzy. Here comes a Cocoon, and the explosive cast. Jezzy's going to be falling for their second kill for KMT.
Tried to use that satchel charge to catch out Overpower, but down goes Fiddlesticks in the bottom side of the map. But Svenskeren still incredibly low. Celiva's chasing onto him, and here comes Elise from the top side. Jankos kicks in, but Svenskeren gets stunned as soon as he flies through the air. Drops incredibly low and eventually falls. Jankos has still got quite a lot of health. Candy Panda's trading back and forth for Celiva, but it's a fight he's going to lose. And KMT have gained themselves a blue buff.
They have. So, goes from bad to worse right now, because that's going to be blue for Overpower, which therefore means Jezzy will not have the blue, not be able to spam, and on top of that, Gragas finds himself with a level advantage. Plus 2 kills in Elise, and Elise is a very dominant early game champion, so those cocoons, that true damage is going to be brutal to deal with.
And this is the first time we've seen Jesus behind in CS when he's laning as that 6. Celiva does take a fair bit of poke here in the bottom lane, but it's not quite enough to feel it, send him off. And with the Ignite down and the Crescendo not quite leveled yet on Nif, he's not too worried about it, but this kid's certainly on the back foot, down by 1,000 gold. You see a great little catch there by KMT, catching Ziggs out, and as I mentioned, didn't have his flash, and they knew that, they didn't have it before. While the stun missed, it was there to block off his retreat, and he used his satchel charge to check the bush for vision, to see if there was anyone waiting for him. So then Svenskaren's looking in to try and steal away the KMT blue. He's got support coming in for Renekton, but there's 3 members of KMT here as well, and they do decide to back on out of that.
Yeah, they do. So Overpower still has the advantage right now in mid. Jezzy has just hit up to level 7, but Overpower gets to level 8. So still well and truly ahead. Bot lane, here comes a Crowstorm from Vanda. Not going to be landing just yet. There's a Terrify, instant cleanse from Candy Panda. This is the reason he picked the Summoner spell. And therefore that ultimate is going to be going down. Ace in the Hole comes out, does a fair amount of damage, but with Sona, should be just fine.
Yeah, it's never going to kill him, but the lower he can get him, the more opportunity they have of killing him again shortly. Now that that cleanse is down, another quick flash fear from Fiddlesticks could result in another kill in that bottom lane, and as his flash is returning to him anywhere in the next 20 seconds, it's something that Candy Panda's got to be paying attention to. Zaxxas pops his ghost as soon as he sees that Dominus. Freddy put the fear of God in him.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. So the ultimate is down now for Freddy 122. You can see now there's going to be that ward being cleared out from KMT in the mid bush, and Elise heading down towards the dragon. In fact, they're going to be starting this off, Panky.
Yeah, they planted that pink ward. It puts constant fear in Jezzy's mind, because he's not going to be able to see if Jankos is coming in that direction. can't take control of this dragon themselves. They do have many members of SK down here, but they know that Candy Panda's a little bit weak, but they do get the dragon in long before Svenskeren even shows up, and SK are in full retreat. They've got 4 members down. Flash over the wall from Overpower. Does land a barrel. Doesn't quite push them in the right directions, but it does force a flash out of Nif.
Yep, so again, he said scaring the fear of God into them there. And if they're not looking forward to that burst damage, but Overpower also burnt his flash, it's important to mention that, so he could be susceptible to some potential ganks in mid, but if anything, it's the role reversal. Jez is being chased down by both Jankos and Overpower. Mine comes out, forcing the flash away from him. Barrel roll comes in as well from Gragas. Repel was used from Jankos, but unable to get anywhere near to Ziggs, and he will be able to get away, but again, flash was burned.
Yeah, Flash was burned by him, but Flash was also burned by Elise this time around as she missed the repel as well, so that kind of spelled the end of the game at that point. But they really are focusing on punishing Jez's here. And again, that whole game began after the Drake because he walked through the pink ward and they couldn't see him coming this time around. He had that vision. And now that his flash is down, he's going to have to be constantly worried about ganks from either side of the river because, again, neither of them are warded thanks to that big...
does have the slight advantage right now. At top lane on CS just by 8, which is really nothing too special. Mid lane is a bit more one-sided, 15 in favour of Gragas, plus the 2 assists on top of that. So let's see if SK can bounce back. Still very early days in this final best of 3. Both junglers are trying their best to make some plays for their team, but it seems like quite a tense affair here, Panky. We need a team really wanting to push forward and make mistakes.
Definitely, the game is... Well, it's in SK's hand. KMT, going like this, will comfortably sit back, let the game go their favour. They've got the power to get these quick drakes, as we've seen already. Freddy is going straight in, as Zaxxas does get the stun after the pull. It's not too much yet, but Svenskeren's here to show him the Sonic Wave misses. Zaxxas does flash away all the same, but little schoolboy errors, so much to speak from SK so far. That Sonic Wave should have been an easy land without the pull there, and well, there was no flash from Zaxxas. He flashed late afterwards. Overpower's heading up here in case SK were looking to dive it, while Jez's was being babysat by Jankos. That's a lot of damage that Elise is putting out.
Yes, Svenskeren is going to be going back. The ghost from Vladimir is nearly back up again, so he has taken to escaping Summoner spells using the ghost previously when Dominus was popped from Freddy 1-2-2. So this is going to give Jankos the chance to steal away the Wraiths. And at the same time, Overpower is just harassing the mid lane. Top lane again, Vlad forced a Sanguine Pool away just to mitigate some of that damage. Gets up to 10 himself, and it looks like KMT are trying to set up for another kill on Jez's. No, not going to be the case. Just going to push the lane instead.
Yeah, I mean, they've already got CS advantage on him. They've already blown the summoners, so they're willing to just sit here now and keep applying pressure. They know they can win these 2v2s as well as Svenskeren comes in. They're very comfortable with their damage, so they can just keep denying more CS from him. Freddy does pop his ult. He's going to keep chasing into Zaxxas again. Gets the stun out this time. He's going to keep chasing with the Dominus, but will not go under turret. Just landing down as much consistent damage with that AoE as possible. And KMT are in again at this blue buff.
They are the exact timing. They've got the pink ward down as well, so that is going to be taken away. Mega Inferno Bomb comes down. Not going to be claiming anything, and I believe that was actually Jankos that picked up the blue there with the smite, just to secure it, and that should allow Overpower to pick up their blue when it comes back up again in a very little while.
So Zaxxas with double cloth armor and Hectic Reviver, really having no issues so much with Freddy's trading backwards and forwards. Sustaining up a lot better than Freddy himself is actually, and as a result forced him back and out of the lane. Candy Panda's cleansed this back up now, so he doesn't have to be too worried about that fear, but flashes down for Nif. That crescendo is waiting, but I really don't imagine we'll see those guys start too much of a fight yet. They are weak, they are behind, and they know it. That Bloodthirst are already complete on Caitlyn, just a BF sword on Jinx, so they're going to need to do quite a bit of harassment before they will win a straight-up fight. Cannot do it from 100 to 100. Jez's backs away in the mid lane, finishes off his Athenan's Holy Grail, grabs a couple of wards and some boots. Maybe he'll be a bit safer now that they're here, as the pink wards are starting to run out. You can see on the minimap now, the amount of blue wards on this map is huge compared to the single red-pink ward at their blue buff, and then a couple now here down towards the bottom lane itself.
Yep, and as you can see, top left of your screen, Dragon is up in 1 minute 35, so it could be a potential possibility that KMT come down, try and pick up a kill, and then transition themselves into that free objective. But Jankos is stood right on top of a ward, so they are going to be trying to bait this one out. Svenskeren's lurking around in the shadows up towards his tower. But now both junglers will be backing away. Piltover Peacemaker comes through. That Bloodthirst is starting to do some work for Celiva. Coming back round again. Here's Jankos firing out the Q. Here's Svenskar and Sonic Wave not managing to connect, but still forcing away at least. Very tentative gaming from both squads.
So, selfish Spellbound item has now been complete on Vladimir, so he's going to be even harder to move out of lane, and as a result, Freddy is just going around to farm between the two turrets, but he may have just sealed his own fate, as now Vladimir and Gragas are coming in to close on all sides of him. They have a lot of damage in a pair. Freddy does have his ultimate. Let's see if he can stay alive through this onslaught. Overpower immediately starts to fight. Dominus is popped by Freddy, but here comes Vladimir. As the ultimate comes down, Freddy's taken very low, immediately flashes over the wall. He's got that damage ticking on him. Of course, it's bonus, and nice ult from Overpower, locks him into the wall. Zaxus comes down the other side to try and lock him off. Slice and Dice is there. Freddy's going incredibly low with the body slam for the last slow. Barrel's already been used. Overpower's taking him so low. Final body slam picks up the kill.
Nice play, jumping on top of that dirty farming from Renekton and really punishing bot lane as well. As you're casting that, the crescendo went down from Nif and they tried to jump on top of both Celiva and Vander. Didn't quite pay off for them though. So crescendo is still on cooldown as Nif stands on top of that trap. Here comes the Crow Storm and the flash, however, with the crescendo down. This could prove to be curtains, but Vander's taking so much damage. Candy Panda picks up the kill, flashes away, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade with both AD carries chipping in.
Yeah, AD carry kill a piece, but the difference is Candy Panda has to leave here. Zaxus is taking a bit of damage from Svenskar and forces a Sanguine pull. Dashes onto water trying to keep the chase going, but Zaxus is going to kite him pretty consistently. To be honest, he has the red buff, so he's going to keep trying to use that. But the amount of spell vamp that Zaxus is getting every time he uses his groups of abilities, he's honestly kind of countering out. Big kick comes forward, flash force from Zaxus. Sven's going to keep chasing. The spell vamp's there, but it's not enough to keep him alive under turret. But Sven's incredibly low and he's still on the run. Overpower's coming across now from the middle lane. Body slams over from the blue buff. The pings are in the bush. They know he's in there. Can he throw the barrel? He picks it up with an ultimate. Svenskar drops, and now it's a double buff Gragas.
Oh man, Svenskar gets dunked off the explosive cast right there. Beautiful play from Gragas, anticipating the recall in that bush, and that also will give him red buff, which is a small consolation on top of everything else. It's going to allow him to trade a bit better with Jazzes, although he shouldn't get too close to Jazzes. Ziggs is a pretty slippery champion.
Yeah, he's had a little bit of trouble oiling up, it seems, this morning, as he's been caught out a couple of times that we hadn't seen in previous games. We have to see those long-range super ultimates as well, so not being quite on the ball. Overpower now rotating around behind Freddy again. Jankos is here this time around. As body slam in, lands the slow, but the slice and dice takes Freddy a little bit of distance. There's the stun comes in. Jankos unloads the full combo. Freddy has popped his dominance. He's trying to do what damage he can to Overpower. It's going down fairly consistently at the moment, but Freddy's lost a lot of health, and Jankos is still doing all the damage he can. Barrel comes up. He actually dashes into that in the top lane. Overpower down in the river, but Jankos will pick up the kill onto Renekton and go on a killing spree.
Yep, nice pick up from the team of KMT, punishing Freddy 122 again, but he did manage to pick up the tower, so not all bad now. And the rest of SK are going to be forcing down the mid as well, and they will pick that one up with ease. And they also took down the bot tower, so suddenly 3 towers fall. They're still behind by quite a significant amount though at 17 minutes.
This is a smart play though. They realise these lanes are slipping away from it. Bottom lane's not going their way. Top lane is definitely not, with all the roaming that's going up there. They need to end this laning phase and start to force out some more skirmishes, more straight up fights. Maybe too little too late, especially as Zaxus is now starting to get very strong, but it's something to try. They did take down all 3 turrets, so they get a big influx of gold on each of their players for now, but KMT back again here for this blue buff. They have played a great game, really locking them down every time he spawned, but Svenskar tried to go in to steal it and kind of bit off more than he could chew. Didn't realise quite how much KMT had there in support. Super Mega Death Rocket does land onto Gragas' backside, but it's not enough to take the blue buff away with splash damage. Gragas picks it up. That's smart from Nif. Focusing down those spiders makes it harder for Jankos to output damage. People underestimate how much damage you actually get from those spiders, and if you can kill as many of them off for free like that, it's going to help you out in fights.
Yeah, just poking from range right now, trying to force them back so they can try and pick up this tower. But that's the 3rd consecutive blue buff steal that the KMT have got as well, which is really crippling Jazzes. He's not able to spam away his bombs. He's not able to have the cooldown reduction to do what we saw yesterday when he was playing Ziggs, and that's just snipe people from range. So it's really hurting him in a number of different ways, and it's just allowing Overpower to become stronger and stronger. Svenskar went down to try and stop it from happening. He lost his life and gave Overpower his 3rd kill. He's now 3-0-3. This Gragas is huge.
Yeah, I was going to say, while Ziggs is back up to the CS lead now, those roam kills that Overpower's picked up, still giving him a very large advantage. Freddy back in the top lane, and Zaxus is up there pushing that into turret. again, to trading back and forth fairly evenly. But that turret will fall after a couple more waves in from Laxus. And as you can see, just shrugs off the damage and unloads another combo onto Freddy. But Svenskaren's there. He's already finished him off once. Let's see if he can do it with help of Renekton. Nif gets ulted straight back out. Overpower goes incredibly early. Ignite is ticking. He has healed himself, but is it going to be enough? No! Falls down. Even with Jezzy's there in support, Overpower soloing down poor squishy Nif.
And that was 100 to 0 in 1 second. Like, that is the burst damage that Gragas is bringing right now. Yes, Nif is probably the squishiest member on the team by quite a distance, but still, that is the power of Gragas. How much gold does he actually have? Because I'm going to say it's probably quite a bit. Yeah, 1.5k or thereabouts. So when he goes back to spawn, could even finish off a Rabadon's death cap if he so chooses.
So we do see them rotating around down to the bottom lane again. Celiva's going into Candy Panda. Ace in the hole comes out. Down goes Candy in a matter of seconds, and Celiva doesn't even care that he's taking the turret through all of that. Just consistent and solid damage output. And of course he's got that Bloodthirster, so he's going to sustain the majority of all backup, and he's got support from his team now. He's gone for that build we saw yesterday here as well. We do see, in fact, Overpower goes in onto Svenskeren, and the fear comes out. Svenskeren is pushed back to the turret, but he's going to fall despite the ultimate coming in from Sona. Vander had the turret aggro, and with the bomb landing on his head, he just had to dodge away a little bit to make sure he survives. But KMT pick up another free kill and a tower.
Yeah, and they just look on a different level right now, Panky. Now, this is SK Gaming. Like, the SK Gaming, and KMT are making them look quite ordinary at this point. 6k ahead on gold, 21 minutes through, 3-2 towers, that's nothing too big. But across the board, as you say, Vlad's starting to get big. Gragas is 5-0, Caitlyn's 3-0, Elise is 3-0. There's so many threats that you have to contend with.
Very much so. I want to talk touch briefly even, on the Caitlyn build again. So the one we saw yesterday is exactly what this comp needs from KMT. Bloodthirster, so very, very powerful build over pacemakers and ace in the holes, and the static shift, which allows her to immediately clear minion waves. So that, in conjunction with Gragas, means they're going to push these waves and push these lanes very, very hard. There in the bottom lane, we saw it took her to that tier 2 turret solo for quite a way, and with the build over peacemakers, with the consistent damage and the sustain she was getting, she was able to solo down Candy Pan. Now, once they do start to group and once they start to siege, SK are going to lose their creeps and lose their mini waves so quickly that when the KMT waves arrive, they're going to lose quite a lot of turret health with every single wave.
Yeah, there's a lot of poke coming in from Gragas as well. He can just spam away the barrel roll, and then if he has a blue buff, for example, can just throw in a kind of speculative explosive cask and see what he can catch. And if nothing else, it's only got about like a 60-second cooldown to come back up again. So it's a very difficult situation for SK Gaming. They are seasoned veterans, though, although with this lineup right now, they've only been around for about a month, as Nif was telling us yesterday. Cocoon is landed on Svenskeren, though. Explosive cask comes through, but the safeguard will get him out of dodge.
So that's a slight upside here for SK Gaming. They're bringing all 5 members down, and that explosive cost on cooldown, having hit no one, is an upside. Svenskeren, they're taking a lot of damage, tries to kick Overpower into his team, but a quick flash from Overpower makes sure he stays to safety. So nice reactions by him. SK all closing in, but Candy Pan is still a little bit off to one side. They have the side positioning here on Dragon, but they are all losing little bits of health at a time. Gragas Barrows, of course, coming over the wall. Spiders coming from Elise. They're going to rotate around and push that mid lane instead. Do have KMT shoving that bottom lane up. Celiva make sure that wave is pushing. SK come back in to try and regain control of the Dragon Pit itself while Candy Panda pushes that mid lane. But there's so many wards here from KMT, they can see them everywhere and they're going to go in.
Oh wow, the flash is coming out plentiful from SK Gaming. I believe that was Nif that actually flashed away there, yeah.
It was, yeah.
So again, very much scared for his life, but they're now going to try and take this opportunity to trade Dragon for the mid tower. And you can see almost instantly that KMT realise what's going on here. Tower is falling very fast. Candy Panda is so quick at clearing towers with Jinx because of the minigun procs. Dragon will be going down, so 1-for-1 trade on objectives, but I would take a tower over Dragon any day.
Jezzy's is split off to one side. SK need to be careful they're not caught by the rotate back up from Dragon. They do appear to be safe, so KMT now coming to return the push onto this mid lane turret. All 5 members of SK are here. Good minefield comes out from Jezzy's to help clear that minion wave up and keep him off the turret. But there's another blue buff up, and KMT decided it's time to go and steal it again. And down goes that blue in a matter of seconds. Nothing SK can do about that. Great rotate and brilliant buff control here from KMT.
Now, this is how you just counter a Ziggs. This is how you counter Jezzy's. You just completely decimate his blue buffs. You give him nothing. And it's very difficult to start to carry a game if you're constantly being pressured from jungle. A Candy Panda eats an ace in the hole and a barrel roll.
An explosive cast and an ace in the hole put him down to 1/3 of HP. Nif taking a couple. Wow, Nif taking a lot of auto attack here from Seleva down to half health. Has to go back to the fountain in a moment himself. Panda's healing up, but KMT just non-stop harassment. SKO just 2-3 steps out of position. 2-3 auto attacks from Seleva. Chunking down your health. One barrel here from Gragas. Gragas, who is not afraid to use his explosive cask early on either because of how short the cooldown is really applying the pressure and just putting SK on the back foot every time they step the slightest bit out of position.
His explosive cask cooldown right now with the blue buff is 48 seconds. That's nothing. It's back up in the blink of an eye. You can just get a tower, come back, wait for it to come back off cooldown, going again. The fact that Vladimir's also got a Zhonya's Hourglass allows him to play a lot more aggressive as well. And as you say, ace in the hole's coming up from Caitlyn. SK Gaming, they can't afford to sit by the tower for too long because they will get poked. So they're going to try and make some anticipatory plays here and try and push down mid, but I'm not too sure they're going to get too far because the recall's coming in thick and fast from KMT.
Yeah, they do know KMT are rotating, trying to grab that tier 2, tier 1 turret in the top lane, so SK trying to counter-rotate, push up onto the mid, try and get some free turret and some damage onto here. KMT, instant recalls, realising what was happening, do get back before it takes too much damage, but Zaxxas comes in behind.
Yeah, here comes the Hemo Plague. Nif is getting absolutely crushed, will be falling to Caitlyn. Can they pick up any more kills? Jez is at the back line, Zhonya's Hourglass has been used from Zaz's Crowstorm, and the Ziggs ultimate will not be enough as Candy Panda is forced to back away after using his ult. Now Freddy122 is in hot pursuit from the rest of KMT. Overpower will not be picking up the kill as Caitlyn takes it from right underneath his nose. But that's a 1-for-2 trade. And this is what I was saying before. SK, they tried to push through mid, but the recall's coming in, and KMT are simply stronger right now.
Zaxxas with great position, got his ultimate on so many targets. And thanks to the damage amplification, thanks to the AoE that KMT had, managed to nuke down a lot of very high priority targets very quickly. It was a good ult that came out from Nif. It managed to delay a lot of the damage, but still, a lot of the damage had been done. Thanks to that ultimate that came out from Gragas, he split SK right down the middle. So you see Gragas just blocking that Sonic wave from Svenska and making sure he cannot come into the Baron pit. And a quick, easy kill goes to Seleva. Not actually to Jankos with this smite, but kills a kill and the Baron went to KMT.
And a correction, I thought Ziggs actually used his ultimate in the previous fight. He didn't. He tried to steal the Baron away there. So it must have been the Jinx ult that I saw rolling across. But regardless, as you say, Baron has been picked up from KMT. Goal difference now goes to about 9,000 in their favour and 3 to 4 towers behind. But that is going to change very quickly if they all group and try and make some big plays. Because again, as we said, so much poke damage. With all the gold they've just accumulated, they're going to go back to spawn, spend that all up, and it's now looking pretty precarious for SK Gaming at best.
So 35,000 gold to 44,000. A massive lead for KMT, and they're wearing this Baron buff now for the next 4 minutes. 5-0 for Gragas, 5-0 to Caitlyn, 3-0 for Release. That's a lot of damage dealing out of KMT. And so far, they've been absolutely clinical with the placement of these fights. And roaming around with that Oracles, making sure the little vision that SK has gets smaller and smaller by the second. Nif doing his best, but Overpower here is comfortably just soloing down Freddy, chasing him all the way under this turret. There's still plenty of health on him, so he's not going to dive him, but Reactor's meant to be the tank, Reactor's meant to be that front line scary. His first item was a Spirit Visage, and Gragas is making short work of him. Exactly, you've got Spirit Visage, Merc Dreads, and a Giant Spell. Gragas is still punishing. So it goes to show that if Renekton's having this much trouble, what's Nif going to have? What's Candy Panda going to have? They're going to instantly die in these fights. The 4th tower has just came down from KMT, Overpower pushing top, while the rest of his team is occupying both mid and bot lane. And at some point, SK are going to have to make a judgment call. Where do we go? We have to group up, we have to make something happen, or we risk losing all of our outer towers. Overpower pushing the tier 2 turret in top, the rest of KMT pushing the tier 2 turret in mid, and we're looking at a Deathfire Grass coming forward for Overpower as well now, so he's already getting through Freddy pretty easily with a quick Deathfire Grasp, an extra 20% magic damage, because honestly, he doesn't need to use it on any other members of SK. They die quick enough, the magic damage. So you put it on Freddy, he gets 20% extra from both Zaxxas and from Overpower, and suddenly everyone on SK Gaming becomes 10 times squishier.
Yep, Freddy is going back on with the slice and dice plus the tower shots as well, but still Gragas is just keeping his ground. There's a very underrated amount of sustain as well as a mid laner, so it's very difficult to push out lane. Cocoon comes through very nearly landing on Jez as he's forced the Satchel charge away, but again, they're picking up the towers, they're making use of this Baron.
Pushing that pressure in SK, now they can't fight, and they're doing their best to poke, but he can't poke very well against Baron buff with this regen. I mean, even if the regen wasn't a component, SK's poke just isn't very big. Do see an ult come out from Ziggs to the top lane to try and clear that wave out, but it's again not enough, and the tier 2 turret falls down there. So all 6 turrets outside of SK's base are now down. just looking at the inhibitor turrets now for the remainder of their last stand. KMT are preying on them.
Explosive cask on Jezis, who's caught way out of position, and he will be going down there to overpower. Now going to be engaging off the back of it. Jankos flies back down from the rappel, but he's going to die. And now Candy Panda and Nif are going to be going ham with the crescendo coming in. Hemo Plague, however, is going to be coming in from Vladimir as well. So Zaz is taking the front lines. Nif is going to be flashing up red. Will he fall to the ignite? Yes, he will. And Vanda will claim that kill. 1-for-2 trade. Freddy 1-2-2. Candy Panda forced to run with their tail between their legs. And this could very well be another tower falling from KMT.
It looked good for a moment there for SK. Okay, Jezzy has died, yes, but they managed to pick up Jankos, and then they were chasing an exposed overpower with the Sonar Ultimate. But then quickly rotate from the top lane. Zaxxas and Celeber came down and inserted themselves inside SK's lineup from behind, and they just could not complete that chase. We're going to see them try and defend this inhibitor. Svenskern's going to fall through the fear. They do pick up Fiddlesticks, but he's not going to be dealing that much damage, and KMT still have Zaxxas and Celeber there, so Candy and Freddy have to run back to the fountain again.
It's worth, because it's a support for a jungle, and you got an inhib. So again, SK got a kill, so what? They can't do anything with it.
Inhib down, SK have 4 members left up again, but they're about to lose a blue buff once more. Jezzy has not had a single one of those. I don't think he's even picked one up off of a kill, as he's not had any. He has been suffering all game, so wow. While everyone else we've seen, IPG had a little bit of an issue against SK's Ziggs play. KMT shutting it down quite nicely. Overpowers Gragas very, very impressive indeed. 7-0-4, 5-0-3 on Caitlyn still. Admittedly, she seemed to have a little bit of an issue getting through Renekton, and there, even with the last Whisper, she wasn't doing too much damage to him, but there was no damage onto her too, so she was able to just stand there for ages and ages and ages and take her time with it.
This kind of predicament SK are in right now in the finals, in the first game, is still not over. Even if they were to lose this game, they have another 2 that they could bounce back. But this is going to test their nerve. This is going to test their steel. How can they bounce back from this? A month-old lineup. Can they manage to pull back this huge deficit? It's definitely stacked against them. Baron's up in 1 minute 55. So again, with KMT having so much objective control, plus the fact that they're now going to be able to put down wards, they have an Oracles on Vanda, you'd have to fancy them to get this Baron.
It's a death cap up now on Zaxxas as well. He's going pure damage base here, rather than going for something like Rylai's or a Warmos or something like the tank side of Vladimir. He's not really worried about the burst damage from SK. He doesn't need that extra health. Just the bonus that he gets from his AP scaling from his passive is more than enough for him. Pistol Scepter complete on Elise, as she's pretty tanky as well. That was her first death when Svenskeren picked her up outside their base here. And now the rest of Overpower and Friends. KMT rotating towards that bottom lane as a 5-man. SK are all there to try and defend it, but well, they tried to defend mid as well. It didn't work out too well for them.
And the fact is that both carries on KMT have yet to die. 12-for-0 collectively. So that goes to show that every fight has been instigated the way KMT wanted it to be, and they've been able to position their important high-threat targets at the back and safe. So again, SK have not been able to jump on the back lines, which when you have a Renekton and a Lee Sin is quite strange.
Celeber more than happy to take a couple of turret shots to land 2 or 3 shots himself, because then the next wave comes out, he just life seals it all back up again with his Bloodthirster. Turret down to about half health now. SK still doing what they can to defend it, but in goes Overpower.
That explosive cast damage was huge, but was it a bit too ballsy from KMT? They have a Guardian's Angel up on Celeber, but they're going to do damage, they're going to poke the tower, and nobody has fallen. So, gotta say, still KMT are in good shape.
Very good call from KMT. The cast went in, they thought about it, they edged a little way forward. Someone made that call, no, don't go for this back and out. They all got out of there cohesively as a unit without getting picked off one at a time. And alive being the key thing. But Nif gets his ultimate over the wall, and Freddy flashes to join him. Going to try and put the stun bat immediately feared out. Repel goes up from Elise to try and keep her alive from the 4 remaining members of SK. KMT Zaxxas flashes forward. He does huddle underneath SK to try and stay alive through this ignite. Zonya's straight into a trap, and he will eventually fall, but it took ages. And there's a double kill picked up for Caitlyn, and she picked up the turret in amongst all that. Only the 1 death is Zaxxas for KMT. SK have lost 2, and they're about to lose their second inhibitor.
And Celeber still has his Guardian's Angel, so he can afford to be aggressive. When the cavalry comes in, the shutdown from Vanda, and now Svenskeren's going to fall as well. 4-for-1 overall with this continual fight. Jankos is low, but he's going to be fine. Crowstorm to clear out all the CS. They can try and force down these towers. They're going to pick up the first Nexus tower, instantly change their focus onto the second Nexus tower. And ladies and gentlemen, the first game is going to be won by KMT.
Big words from Zaxxas in the pre-game interview. Wasn't quite 25 minutes, but 33 is easily one of the quicker games we've had this weekend, especially looking at SK's semi-finals games from yesterday that went on for quite some time. KMT honestly didn't have to work too hard for that. SK were on the back foot right from the get-go, and every consistent invade kept setting Jazzus back further and further down. Overpower 706 as he finished there on his Gragas. The damage was absolutely incredible, and KMT sitting very comfortable with that 1-0 lead.
And we've mentioned the blue buff steals quite often, but it was 3 in a row. In fact, probably 4 or 5 overall. But at one stage, 3 in a row. Svenskeren had to commit to try and give Jezus some of those blues because Gragas was getting ahead in gold, he's getting ahead in XP as well. And they managed to pick up a kill, I believe, earlier on by trying to save the blue buff again. Yep. So it had a knock-on effect that quickly got Overpower in a very, very strong position. At the end, didn't die once. 7-0. Caitlyn, 7-1. So again, it goes to